and called meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any public comments about agenda items? Any public comment about agenda items?
Did we approve the consent agenda or just the agenda?
Approval of the consent agenda. There are special meeting minutes dated January 20th on the table. I think there's another one too that should be up. There's 3 of them out there. But... Motion to approve those?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye. Support.
Who seconded?
I will support.
Oh, sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, story trail grant. Trudy.
We have a guest here, Sarah. Yeah. Should I come up here? Give out a microphone. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Rinsma-Sevinga and I'm with Muskegon Area District Library. I think that you guys discussed at your last meeting a grant that Maddle is getting through Great Start Collaborative to do an additional story trail in Egelston Township. Is that ringing a bell?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So I'm here to answer any questions, but also just wanted to give a little bit of a background. So Maddle has, this will actually be our 4th partnership with the story trail. Story trails, for those in the audience, are kind of outdoor opportunities for families to enjoy literacy and the outdoors at the same time because they're walking through the pages of the books in parks. So we have a partnership with the City of Muskegon Heights and have one in Bethlehem Park. We have a partnership with the City of Muskegon and Hackley Library and have one in Smith-Ryerson Park. And then we have one up north at White Lake in partnership with White Lake Library. So this would be our 4th. And we're really excited about that. So one of the things that we need from you all is, well, a couple of things. What Maddle is preparing to do is obviously facilitating the grant, purchasing the signs, and then changing out the storyboards every probably 3 or 4 times a year. And then doing programs that kind of align with those changes of the story trails. What we'd be asking for you, as I think you approved in your last meeting, Trudy gave me a little bit of a heads up, is that you would be, your DPW would be doing the installation of the story trail, and then also just the upkeep and maintenance of the boards. Not the boards, we would take care of the boards, but the signs themselves. So really the last thing I think to discuss is location. And I know you guys are considering 2 different locations, just as a kind of a pitch for Maddle's preference. Obviously, you know, Maddle's branch is right here, and I know one of the locations that you're looking at is right in the backyard, which is used by lots of folks when the temperatures are warmer. But having something right in the backyard of the library would be super convenient for programming. Will really allow us to do some more events and those kind of things to bring the community together around literacy. So just throwing that out as a suggestion and as a preference. But if there are any questions, I'm open to those as well.
Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
how, you said you had 3 other outlets.
Mm-hmm.
How have they turned out? How many participants? Can you give an approximate figure?
Yeah, so it's super interesting because we've wanted to track numbers like that, right? But it's hard to do because it's a park and it's open when we're not necessarily there.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have done is we have a QR code at the end of every story trail that says if you fill out the survey, you can get a $25 or you get entered into a drawing for a $25 gift certificate somewhere. And that has had nominal kind of interest. The biggest probably point of success that we've seen is in the events and the programs that we throw in the parks throughout the warmer months. And we've done them as early as May and as late as November. And at every one of the events that we've thrown, it's just been kind of a really festive opportunity for folks to do lots of things in the park, right? Not just read the book, which is a huge element of why we're there, but also in partnership with neighborhood associations and with the cities. We've had things like bounce houses and s'mores in the middle of Bethlehem Park and Muskegon Heights, and other kind of nonprofits coming and setting up booths and activities. So those have been really successful, and obviously in the fact that they're growing. Great Start, the number of them are growing throughout the county. Great Start Collaborative obviously sees the benefit for just literacy around the county.
And do you do this all year round, even in the winter, or do you take everything off the boards throughout the
No,
winter?
we leave a book out for the winter. So like I said, we change out the boards about 3 times a year. Usually the longest, the book that's out the longest is the winter one, because it's usually November or so that we put it in, all the way through like April.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Go ahead.
So of the story walks that we have in Muskegon County, how many of them are at a library location?
White Lake is, and then Bethlehem Park is walkable from the library, and Egelston. Oh, sorry, not Egelston. Sorry, that one's not been determined yet. Smith Ryerson is the one that's the farthest away from the library. And I would actually say that that's the one that's been the most challenging for Hackley to see kind of the outcome that they were looking for. Not to say that's impossible, but I think that the programming element has been harder to materialize there just because of the distance from the library.
And were you aware that we already approved the location for Beals Park?
I knew that that was part of a conversation. I didn't know that that was approved. So
We actually have another speaker coming, so we'll revisit that in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of, this is obviously used as a soccer park.
mm-hmm.
Is there a way to possibly, instead of mounting these on posts, to put the boards, hang the boards along the fence up here in the active area? Or do they all have to be on that?
I think that would be difficult given the sign boards. It's quite, I don't know if you've seen, they're like permanent signs. So like if you go to the DNR or like a state park and you see those signs that are actually, you know, like cemented into the ground, it's not like H stakes that you can just easily hang. It's not like a lightweight
But
material.
on the top of that, is it not an enclosure where you open it up and change the storyboard?
Yeah, and the board itself is quite heavy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's like a permanent.
And you would expect this trail all the way around to be kept clean, I'm assuming, during the winter, so they could walk the trail.
You know, our expectation for other parks has not been that they are snow blowing or anything, a trail for people to walk. Our real when we know people are outside being active with their families is April through November. During that period of time, we would expect that the county would, or you know, not the county, sorry, that the township would keep it clean, keep it walkable, and keep it hospitable. I'm not as worried about the winter months.
And these other events that you're talking about having out there, you would schedule that with the soccer?
Oh yeah, that would have to.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously that's first and foremost a soccer. But if we could add a literacy component to it, it'd be great.
Have you walked out there?
Mm-hmm.
And have you walked to Beals Park?
I don't know Beals Park, and it is really you guys' decision in terms of where it is. I'm just putting a little pitch in, but if you know that I really, in all of our other partnerships with the city and the town and townships that we've partnered with, it's been their decision, and then we make it work. So if Beals is, you know, what you guys are feeling is the best, we'll trust that, and we'll probably do limited programming there, not as much programming. It'd be a lot easier for us to do that here, but it's not to say that we wouldn't fully support it.
Could you go through the programming? Because that's one thing I didn't realize that came with it.
Yeah, so like every fall we do something called the Big Reed Lakeshore, and that's a kind of a community-wide read where we invite readers of all ages to read a book. And there's 4 different books that are selected, and there's always a little read for elementary school students and their families. And so we then print that little read book on all of our story trails across the county, and usually do a big event that is kind of just a celebration kickoff of Big Read, and also a celebration of the park that it's in. So that's one example. Usually we'll do something midsummer, again, to get families out to do literacy. We would do like scavenger hunts out there where, you know, kids were like looking for something on the boards, and we would connect it probably with like I think Egelston does a big Easter egg drop program with the library. So we would probably connect something with that. It would just get integrated probably with our summer reading program. There's lots of creative ways that we can integrate it.
So I was told that we would be checking out the stories. So from a list that is of whatever is available, is it that, or do you guys predetermine what you're going to be putting out across the county?
So we, with this coalition of 4 or 3 plus you guys story trail, we have a growing library of story trail books. So the one thing that I should note too, because they're not just H-stake signs that we can easily print on our own, they're more like semi-permanent signs, so they are $800 a piece. So it's not cheap for us to invest in a new book, and that's actually 2 books because we can flip it.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, but it's great to be able to share our books together with this coalition of 4 different locations and 3 different libraries. And so those are selected from our children's librarians, and often they're selected with kind of those community events in mind and community initiatives in mind. But again, if there was a strong preference from this board, you know, that there was a certain book that you really wanted to see, we would certainly, you know, entertain that too and throw it past our librarians.
And with the books, I think a lot of us were more comfortable choosing the book because I'm not sure what types of books are in the library.
Yeah, we could certainly share that list of what
as long as we
have.
get a chance to like okay or not okay something, like, because sometimes I feel like sometimes there's an agenda sometimes with some people that educate kids in a certain way about something that I've seen. So I know
we can certainly
things
share
are different than when I grew up. So
we can certainly share the list, and like I said, we'd be open to suggestions too. Probably would be more open to like a list of suggestions rather than this is the book that we want. So if you guys really wanted to, you know, give some input that way, we would welcome that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Herb, would now be a good time for you to come talk about Story Trail?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The mic is yours.
Yeah. Also, after talking to Andy, the librarian, he
No.
felt that it would be a better.
No. I'm just kidding with you.
He felt that it would be a better fit for it to be here, so we could work with the library. As far as maintenance and logistics, it would be perfect here. If we try to put it at Beals, 20 of these storyboards already in a congested park, it'll be difficult to get any tree service in there, consumers in there, our leaf vac system in there. We would have to end up pulling them out of the ground on multiple occasions just to get equipment in there. So we measured off, there would be like half of them would be on the east side, half would be on the west side. At the very end of the story time on the east side, we would make our own sign to point to go directly west to finish the story. A nice sign, we would do that. That's what we were hoping for and considering, but it makes a lot more sense to have it at the library because we're trying to get kids to read books, right? So I don't even know if at Beals are going to be, it might be throwing them off. That's just my opinion. But maintenance-wise, it'd be very difficult to put at Beals.
And they'll
We can make them
be
like traffic cones
Well,
out
you-
there and
up
make it
close to
triple.
the fence so the kids won't be tripping over.
Of course, yep. We have, when I first came here, we've got trees out here we planted 18 years ago, Michigan native plants and trees. So half of the storyboard would be there. The other half would be by the fence, but we could plant some trees over there too in the future. Something that's native to Michigan, give it some more color.
And you're saying there's no way that we could place them at Beals without having to remove them?
eventually, if we have to get equipment in there, there's a lot of trees at Beals, there's a lot of buildings in Beals, and if we try to put 20 of these big book things in the park, it'd be very difficult to get machinery in there.
So you don't think you'd be able to place them in a way that would be avoiding that?
Possibly out in the field, next to the ball field. That would be the only place that, because we have a lot of irrigation in that park as well.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, I really do understand what he's saying. This was a conversation that we had about those signs originally. And the only reason that we wanted it at Beals is because we thought they'd get more usage.
And
So-
they probably would.
It probably would, but the other option, there's big obstacles with the library trying to change them with events that they want to do.
Who changes them?
We do.
So the
Yeah, the library does, so I agree with them. You know, after really thinking about it and what they brought up, I think it's probably smarter to do it here. And then just organize it with the events that are already out there.
I actually agree with Herb. Being over at Beals Park, I should say I get to see it every day. And I feel it would be less destructive if it were here, in this park here. And of course, easier to watch. We've got everybody here on the board being able to watch every day. So we will be quite closer. Fire department's even here if anything happens. I mean, yeah, I have to agree with you.
Because they will be permanent. We're gonna have to use concrete to put the post in. So if we ever had to move a sign, you're talking all more concrete, taking off the concrete from the post and then redoing it all. There's just a lot of times that big equipment has to get in there, and it's a challenge right now as it is.
So if we do it out here, would you have to create like a pathway, like a?
It's all mowed
So
grass. Yeah, it would. I wouldn't create a sidewalk or nothing for this. No, it's out in nature
And they'll be able to follow that pretty well because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
all in a line.
for sure. For
Okay.
sure.
So we got
So we should probably amend our motion, change our past motion to have the story trail approved here. at the
I would
township.
like to make that amendment. I don't know who made the original.
Do we have to redact the original one first? Jill?
It's a whole new motion.
Oh,
Easy enough.
so I'll
Just
make
the
that motion
to move it.
to move it to here, not Beals Park.
Could you state it so that like if someone only read your motion, they would understand what you're saying?
Yes, I would like to make the motion to move story, what do we call it?
Trail.
The story trail grant here at the township field and not with Beals Park.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Or,
yes.
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 Alright, and since Herb's already here, do we have a new custodian, Herb?
Yes, we do. Robin Outsema's here. I guess it's just we're just dotting the i's and crossing the t's to make her officially the new housekeeper.
Alright.
Could she come up and introduce herself?
Come on, don't be shy.
Hi, I'm Robin Altima.
Hi there,
Good to meet
Robin.
those of you I haven't met yet.
Pleased to meet you.
All of her information came back good.
We
And
did.
she's gonna probably be starting this week sometime.
Herb's
Okay,
the only
that was
one that
my
doubted
question.
that. We didn't. know that.
No, I had to convince them. We arm wrestled.
She won.
I make a motion to approve the hiring.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ben.
Yes.
Yes.
Corey.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
and yes.
I'm nervous.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Great to
Thank
have
you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I have another engagement tonight, but does anybody have any questions for me? I got a couple more minutes if you have a question, anything.
When does the lake get sprayed again, Herb?
Summertime.
Just mess with it.
This would be, I mean, if we sprayed it now, it's,
I'm just
we're throwing some money away.
I'm full of jokes tonight.
You are.
While he's here, move that up.
Thank you.
No problem at all.
I don't think we can, I keep briefed too, and they have information, I think we're good.
So we're good? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, about the drinking fountain, yeah,
You wanna leave that?
yes, I do. I briefed everybody.
Cool.
No, I'll keep you up.
Alright, next up is our Rolling with Shelly contract. There's a bunch of pages in here. So we had talked about in the past meeting, possibly having a contract or a waiver or both. Also, there are old meeting minutes approving using her, to go get groceries and medical appointments, but we need to add senior meals. So there could be a few motions here in this section. If we want to adopt a waiver, there's a generic contract in your packet, and then also approving the senior meals at the VFW. Did anyone have any questions or need clarification on anything?
I don't have any questions, but it's a great idea to have that contract between her. Has she already started doing since
Yes.
June? Since June? Okay, all right. And she hasn't had any signed contracts since June?
No.
Okay, so I would agree.
You said senior males, you mean at the VFW? Our senior
Yeah.
male here, not somewhere else.
Yeah, sorry, when you go to make the motion, it is letter C and then II as the listed.
I
You
noticed
gotta,
on
you
the,
gotta. Where's letter C?
On your agenda, the first page.
Number
Very
5,
first
letter
page.
C.
Okay.
Yes, for an old business, number 5, letter C, II.
Sorry, you guys are just.
There's a hierarchy.
in the, on the contract. Getting there.
This independent contract came from, our attorney.
The scope of sequence exhibit A we don't have, that's just going to say for medical, groceries, and rides to the VFW general monthly. I noticed that this contract is with Rolling with Shelly, but our policies and procedures, for bids and quotes say bids for recurring services must be solicited and requests for proposals prepared for all contracted services, including professional services.
This was already approved and
But there were no bids.
no, there were not. And if you read the minutes, I said that I was working with a local company to come up with an agreement, and that was approved. Doesn't mean that we have to have a contract solely with her. And if you want me to have contracts with all the transport agencies, we can do that, but they won't give you the same price that this is. Because I did ask, I called around and asked.
I'm asking because I had 2 residents that hired Rolling with Shelly on their own because they weren't aware, they were over 60, and they said it was very expensive compared to the others. So I'm just wondering, I would just like to see some more bids, whether we choose Shelly or not. Again, I'm okay with that, but
I thought it was a lot of money too. And I have a question too about the liability. What if we did a voucher system where they just got like an Uber or a Lyft? And who would be liable for that? Would it be Uber and Lyft for any incident that might occur? Like, isn't that already covered in a normal transport?
do they have wheelchair?
I'm unsure, but
I don't know.
it's paid for with the senior millage, and not all seniors will have a wheelchair or special needs. So, like, that could be an option for someone who doesn't need.
But Shelley's already
Special
put
care.
up with that. She has all of the equipment already installed, so she's
So that's
ready.
great for someone who needs it, but does everyone have to go through her? Because that would be, it's
No.
way more expensive, and I think it is worth it because she's way more accessible. But sometimes people just need someone maybe helping them in or out of a normal car, or, you know, I just don't see everyone needing.
So you're saying in addition to this is what you're saying?
Yeah, in addition, so that there's options, it would, and plus, Uber is gonna be way more convenient, you can go on just about any time. So I just feel like that, if we had that as an option,
But our Uber drivers, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought you were done.
it's just that we would have to look into the liability is all. They might already be covered.
Well, but there are people that want us to be named extra on their liability insurance, and do Uber drivers have separate liability, or is it just their auto insurance? I don't know that.
That's a question we have to know, and it's not gonna interfere with approving rolling with Shelly at
No,
all.
it's
just
good
additional
conversation, there are a lot more questions.
Yeah.
As far as I understood, Trudy asked that we have a contract, so we did the legwork to get a contract. And then it is open, right? You did the contract, right? So we can make this same contract and just change the name to whomever has a business. And then if we choose to adopt the liability waiver, this would be for anyone we wanna
I
have
love that.
the waiver with.
Yeah.
And then our next point is to have a work session, about the senior funds. So I guess like, if,
Before we move on to that, can I talk some more about rolling with Shelly?
yeah,
I had concerns that we didn't have a contract. I reached out to Chris Arnshorst, our insurance agent, who also contacted the underwriter, and it was through his email to me that I asked this to be put on the agenda, because he said there should be a contract in place. There should be hold harmless language in the contract in favor of Egelston Township if there is an accident or claim while Rolling Shelly is providing services to the Egelston Township senior citizen. It said to involve our legal team, which I'm happy to do that. Secondly, you may want to consider having the senior citizens that use Rolling with Shelly sign a hold harmless liability waiver. I'm hoping that we vote to do that. And thirdly, they recommend that, it says we recommend that you obtain a copy of her driver's license and check her record on the Michigan Secretary of State website. And we also recommend that she provides us a certificate of insurance for her commercial auto insurance policy. And also be named as an additional insured on her commercial insurance policy. We have a certificate of insurance naming us, but we don't have her policy naming us. So there's lots that our insurance company has recommended, 3 or 4 or 5 things here. And I hope we address each one that Chris has recommended to us.
We also, Amanda and I also met with the underwriters and Chris, and he said those are best practices. And, you know, they are recommendations only. We do what we want to do. And they are good ideas. I'm not saying they're not good ideas, but we have copies of her liability insurance naming us as additional insured. That's all we've ever required.
On the policy or on the certificate of insurance?
Certificates of insurance. We've never required everybody to send
We
us a
haven't,
copy.
you're correct, but the certificate of insurance clearly states that we're not it if it's not in policy. I don't understand why we wouldn't wholeheartedly jump at this and do exactly what was recommended to us by our liability insurance. I'm trying to protect us from financial harm with something simple that could be done.
I don't want to give my whole insurance policy to somebody. That's what your certificates of insurance are for. Is proof that you have that policy.
But with us not on it, what good does it do? Here it is. This certificate is issued as a matter of information only and confers no rights upon the certificate holder. This certificate does not affirmatively or negatively amend, extend, or alter the coverage afforded by the policies below. And this is rolling with Shelly's policy. This certificate of insurance does not constitute a contract between the issuing insurers, authorized representatives, or producers and the certificate holder.
the new one.
So are you suggesting a motion to include that into the policy?
That we be added to the policy, yeah, not just as an additional insured on the certificate of insurance.
You
This
got
is a
five-
certificate of insurance, this is not her policy.
But you got 5 things you wanna add, right? Can you list them out?
Oh, I don't know, well, we have the contract. A waiver, a harmless liability waiver was suggested, copy of her driver's license, a check of her, record, their driving record on the Secretary of State website. We actually used to do that with their firefighters, I don't know if it's been, done lately, I don't know why it stopped, but I'm not even sure if that's done more recently. And then, adding us to her insurance policy.
So I think we've done everything but that you just said, except for adding our name to the policy, so I think that's anything missing out of your suggestions.
Did we
there?
approve to have this, liability waiver?
We need a motion tonight.
I make a motion to approve the liability waiver.
I will second that.
The sample one that's in your packet,
Yes.
we'll do a roll call vote.
And that's without any of these amendments?
Right this second.
We're just doing the waiver right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Sample in your
Yes.
packet.
Yes.
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 Yes. Sometimes I forget to say that.
I was reading.
I make a motion that we obtain a copy of Rolling with Shelly's driver's license and check her record on the Michigan Secretary of State website.
I second that.
Roll call vote.
Peggy,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Cory,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I have one more motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I make a motion that we be added to Shelley's, insurance policy and not just stated on her certificate of liability insurance. As an additional named insured.
What?
I just don't have enough information on that. I wish it would have been presented before so I could research. I don't know.
That's
I
why,
don't know how to vote.
that's why this is in the packet that I gave to you.
That
just
was-
wondering
Oh,
how-
that was not in the packet, to be clear. That was not given to me. I didn't have that part.
Can we do some more research and table that to the next board meeting?
I just wonder how much it's gonna increase her insurance.
That's what I was like, is it
Like
gonna
adding the
cost
whole
her more?
township.
Are we gonna do this with every single provider? There's some research that we have to do.
How much is
I-
it going to cost us if we don't have it, when
Yeah.
something happens?
Well, absolutely, I just think that we
We've
just
been
want to
doing
be.
it for months though. I mean, this was the old board that
Actually,
did this for many, many
The
months.
conversation with the insurance provider and the underwriter was, I asked Chris what the difference is if she's added to our policy or not. If there's an incident, her insurance is gonna pay first, and if they're awarded something beyond her coverage, it's gonna fall back on the township.
Mhm.
Either way, whether we're on her insurance policy or not. So this really is just, I think, minutia, but
When I talked to him, that's not the way I understood it, that would, hers would cover first and would fall on the township. He said we both would be sued. Something
we
happened.
will both be named in the suit. Her coverage is limited to 2 million. If they get a 3 million award, we would be second up. That's just the way it is.
There was no urgency on any of the people's parts when we talked on the phone with, I think there were 5 people on the call. There was not a sense of urgency. Like Joan said, they said they were best practices, something they would recommend, but they didn't call us to recommend it. They recommended it when Trudy asked questions, so I don't feel like it's urgent. I do think it could wait until we had a work session to talk about it and look into it further and gather more information.
Is there some reason I wasn't included in that phone call because I can deal with the insurance company?
Fine, we were contacted because you contacted them, you didn't include us, so I just,
That's because I asked you and John since, June of last year, since we started this, and no one would ever talk to them, so I reached out in November. Because I was very concerned that we don't even have a contract, we didn't at that time even have a contract.
I was never made aware of anything as the supervisor, so we made a call after hours. They stayed after hours to accommodate my schedule and talk with us. And wasn't leaving anyone out, it was trying to get on the same page of what was being discussed.
And I had to be on a different page.
Well, you opened the book and we didn't know anything about it. They were filling us in.
Thank
So
you.
I brought it to your attention to tell you about it. That's why I gave you the minutes and all of our information with Shelly.
Trudy, thank you for your due diligence.
I'd also like to know if we're going to limit the cost for one person. What if Shelly needs to stay there for 2 or 3 hours? Are we gonna? We had an issue, so we created a boundary, a radius.
You mean stay there and wait for the person
Yeah.
for that ride back? I
Yeah,
think it's up
$20
to
per
60
hour.
minutes. Yeah,
It says it's up to 60 minutes in our.
that's what I saw. Yeah.
No, she will
Or is
charge us 60 minutes if she has to wait, a minimum of 60 minutes. Chaperone service $20 an hour, minimum of 1 hour.
Also, is there any limit to this? Like,
That's my question.
That's what she's asking.
Because we had someone call that wanted to do a medical in Ann Arbor, and Shelly quoted us $900. So that's why
she
we
actually
decided to
called
give this
with the
radius.
concerns,
Yes,
and I asked to meet with Trudy and John.
yes.
And at that time, we decided there are specialists right in Grand Rapids. If they have to go beyond that, then we couldn't help them.
And that would include.
and that radius is where they're
yes.
limited
Yeah,
to.
and that would include, like Grand Haven, North Ottawa, but I'm just wondering if there's a time limit of how much we're willing to pay for one person. I just think we should state that.
Was there a limit before?
No, we didn't set anything,
And were there any problems except for that $900 incident?
not that I'm aware, but I haven't seen.
Is it reasonable to limit it as a per day thing? Like a limit per day?
They get 2 per month. They
Oh,
get 2
they already
ride
have-
vouchers per month.
Okay.
But I'm
I
talking
think
about
she's
each
talking about
ride.
time limit during the day.
Each ride.
I
So if
don't
they
know.
sit there for 8 hours or 6 hours or 3 hours, that's what she's talking about.
Yeah, it just seems like she should have reached out to us for something that lengthy.
She did.
She
That's
did.
what brought this up.
Beforehand or?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
She had a concern and reached out to me, and I met with the former supervisor at Trudy and said, we have to do something, and at that point, we decided a 40-mile radius pretty much is gonna put you in touch with any specialist that you need.
And so that pretty much solves it. Like,
So
unless she's waiting there
Trudy
for a
wants
while.
a dollar limit, right?
Possibly, yeah.
So would you guys want to make a dollar limit, or do we want to talk
Because
about it later?
After 20
Not to
miles, it's
exceed.
$3 a mile, and if the chaperone service is $20 an hour, minimum charge of 1 hour. And then, for instance, a wheelchair on a weekend or evening is $60, on a holiday it's $85. I don't know, what if it comes with $200, is that okay? I just think we should.
The
Or
chaperone
are we
limit
just
seems like for 2 reasons, like it would be a good idea because first of all, it's kind of tying up the resource for other people who might need to use it. But I don't know if they're at a doctor's appointment, they could be there for 3 hours. So, but I mean, also she could just leave and come back. I don't know why she has to stay there for that.
She only stays if it's somebody that can't be left alone.
Or Grand Rapids, if she
Seems
were
like
here
another
2 round
service
trips
other than
to Grand Rapids and
transport.
back twice. But maybe if it could be a workshop or,
Yeah,
you know.
can we do a
full
workshop on like
discussion on senior millage.
senior
in
millage and
general.
include Shelly and address
Yep.
some more questions?
Yep.
But I do want to real quick, the senior meals, if somebody could make a motion to include senior meals at the VFW.
That.
I make a motion that we include in the scope of services in the
I got a
contract.
motion,
Oh.
it died for lack of support, nobody supported that motion.
Oh,
Which
Oh,
motion?
my motion to, be added to her insurance policy rather than just listed on her certificate of liability insurance.
We're just asking for some more information to go over it, so. I think it's a great idea. I really do. I just want
I
a little
just
more
need to know
information.
what to put on here so I can continue on.
Yeah, I feel like this work.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay. I make a motion that we add to the contract the scope of services to include rides to medical appointments, to get groceries, and rides to our VFW senior dinner.
The second thing.
Okay, roll call vote.
And
Yes.
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 yes,
Yes.
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 Is that the same thing as the senior meal?
yes.
Okay,
I thought so. I just.
so do we need to make the motion about having a work session now?
Did we approve the contract?
We approved the waiver and one other thing. We didn't do the contract.
Can I amend it to approve the contract with the, scope of services? Approve the contract is submitted.
I'm sure you supported that.
Yes, I'll support it.
Everyone still supports.
Vote still stands.
Yes.
Aye.
You if I will.
Our
Lord forgive me.
Thank you.
No,
It's been a long day.
also need, I left a blank here for how long are we going to do this? For 1 year, for 2 years, my recommendation would be for 2 years. That will get us halfway through
The funds.
yeah, the 5-year millage renewal. And it would give us an opportunity in that amount of time to see how popular and effective this program can be.
Was that a motion?
Yeah, that's fine.
No,
Um,
we need one.
Okay, I'll make a motion to make it effective immediately
And I'll second that.
and expire 2 years from today, which would be
2/3/27.
do you still second that with her
Yes.
addition?
yes. You were leading up. Who, you or Peggy?
Peggy.
Yes. Okay. Trudy,
Yes.
Peggy,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
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 Yes. Alright, so we need to schedule a work session and possibly form a committee to deal with the funds, the senior millage funds, to make sure that we're spending them. But only if you want to be on it, or everybody, doesn't matter to me. But we'll have to get that scheduled soon. Do we have to vote on scheduling this?
No, but
Okay.
I have a letter of recommendation in the packet. What is it about? Maybe I didn't put it in the packet.
Yeah, it's
I don't
just be
think
on the
so.
map.
I don't think we have one put
No.
on.
This one?
No, that's the old one, isn't it?
That was
Oh, yeah, here it is. Nope, I forgot that one. Okay. I had, written a recommendation letter for the committee. Obviously, I would like to be involved. I've been involved since beginning of receiving the funds. I have interaction with over 200 residents once a month at the dinner at the VFW, so I get a lot of feedback. I would like to see Peggy involved if she would accept it, because she sits on the county committee that approves these programs, so she knows a lot about what's happening out there. If Brenda's got the time, it'd be nice to have her involved as well.
Yes. I would agree, but let me just ask this one question, because I am on the committee, and I've been on it for a long, long time. Would that play a conflict because of the knowledge I have, or do you think that, you would think I would try to be pushing something that I shouldn't be pushing?
This is not, really has nothing to do with that. This is the stipend that we get to decide it as a board how
How to
our,
use it, just how to
our
use it.
residents
Okay.
can most.
Alright, okay.
It's not
You
grant money.
benefit by seeing how
Benefit,
like
yeah.
things happen on the county level.
Yeah, it would help us not duplicate things that are out there already.
Right.
And you're already a board member, so
I
there's
already
a
am.
conflict, yeah.
But it's not the grant money, it's,
It's how to use it. I'm good with it then.
And I apologize, I want to stay here especially for the pinning ceremony, but I'm going to be sick, so I don't want to be sick out here. That would be quite the show.
Oh,
Sorry guys. And probably table the fountain thing till later.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Not that that's a motion, you guys can do that.
Alright, and then, for our fire chief search, we,
we gotta make a motion.
oh, we're making a motion.
That was just my recommendation for the senior committee.
Oh, we're forming it right now? Go ahead.
I could make-
Okay.
are you willing to serve?
Yes.
So I'll make that a motion.
Can I second?
You can do anything you want.
I just wanna get moving.
Yeah.
I second. Roll call vote.
Corey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Let's get one more germ in there.
Feel better, buddy.
On that, I would have been over here for.
Bye guys.
Bye. Alright, for the fire chief search, we need to have a work session to discuss the recommendations from the chiefs and, talk with our legal team, so we can set that up within the next 2 weeks, I hope.
Put a calendar here for you.
Next Monday works.
Oh, please, not on a Monday. Let's do it on a Thursday.
But how about we do it like 9 o'clock on Monday? I'm just kidding.
Then I would be fine.
I wonder why we have to do this when we had a recommendation and we interviewed and I thought we kind of had a consensus.
Because
Why
what
aren't
they
we
said,
just offering it?
the
to-
consensus that they gave us is impossible. We cannot do what they suggested, it's
Why? Can
impossible.
you explain that? Why?
I
already
asked
did.
We
for
can't hire Dave Glotzbach as the chief?
That's not what they suggested.
I asked for the workshop meeting, and I think it's a good idea, cause I wanna,
That was not at
Hammer
all
some
what they
things.
What did they
suggested.
suggest?
They suggested that we hire Dave with Alex as deputy chief, and we cannot do that per their contract.
Okay.
Who's
So why don't
contract?
we-
Their contract.
The firefighters
Oh, they
contract.
contract.
Collective bargaining agreement.
Okay.
So we don't have to follow their recommendations.
So
to
what,
the-
on this work session, what are you trying to accomplish, Corey?
I wanna talk back with the candidates a little bit, and I wanna talk with our legal team and see what we can do
As
to,
far as, we're trying to hire a fire chief.
I know, but I also want leadership. So I wanna have the best of both things that we can have, that we can get, so.
They were not aware that our contract is different than what they have at their fire station. They have a deputy chief who is not in the union.
The
But
whole
of
fire
the four
department is
candidates,
one.
they recommended who they thought we should hire as
They
chief,
recommended two as a
not two
team.
fire chiefs.
Nope, they recommended 2 men as a team. That was exactly what they recommended. And we cannot do that, so.
But they didn't recommend one of the other three as the chief. So they only recommended one for the chief, so why aren't we offering that to that person?
Because they didn't recommend a chief, Trudy. They recommended a fire
It's a
chief with a
recommendation,
deputy
it's our
chief.
decision.
Yeah, so the recommendation is not what we cannot do the recommendation, so we need to have a workshop to discuss to what we want to do.
So what,
I thought we already
what she is
discussed that
saying,
after
what
that.
she is saying is that they have in their policy that they can't do it that way in our area. The other people, the other
But we
guys,
could hire a
but-
chief, we have a qualified candidate that I
We
thought we
do.
all
We have
agreed
two
to.
qualified candidates.
That's not what was said at the meeting.
That is what was said at the
And it
meeting.
deeply troubles me that we're still operating, I know you're the chief, but you have no firefighting experience, and it deeply troubles me that it's going to be 2 more weeks that we go without a fire chief. That can come into scene.
I think they've been doing just fine. We've had a couple
We
big
have-
fires in the last few weeks, and I thank you guys that were there and fought them, even though you don't have a chief title on your shirt or you have a retired one. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
I appreciate you too, but I think it's a matter of time that we're exposing ourselves to financial harm and possibly harm to our workers and residents.
I'm free tomorrow night. We have work session tomorrow night if you'd like.
Yeah, I can't go tomorrow.
How about Wednesday?
I can do one.
I'm good Wednesday. Thursday better?
No, I'm good with this Wednesday. And it's on the 5th, right?
What time?
What time can you be here, Corey?
5:30.
Alright, 5:30.
Thursday's good.
Who's gonna be at this work session? What, gentlemen, or are we just gonna discuss it as a board for right now?
Well, Dave, are you available Wednesday at 5:30 to come to a meeting? And Alex, are you available Wednesday at 5:30? Yeah.
What did you say you wanted to ask the legal team something? Are they going to be on Zoom?
We can get hold of them.
What does that mean?
One of you guys will have to call them, because I work all day, so one of you guys will have to get hold of them, see if they can be available for us to have a conversation with them.
Laura said I could call her anytime I want.
Awesome.
Perfect, thank you.
Works great. Thank you.
All right. New business. We have Eric Couch here from Sun Chemical. Are you gonna start?
Be happy to.
You guys can turn toward the back.
The slide should be presenting right now.
It is, thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to address you. I'm here on behalf of the factory that's out on Evanston Avenue. Many of you know this, and there are several people in the audience. I just want to call them out so you understand that there are people there tonight who can answer additional questions. I'd just like them to raise their hand when I call their name. Matt Farrar, who's the Deputy County Administrator, who did the economic analysis for the factory. Rachel Gorman, who's the Chamber's CEO and President for Muskegon Chamber. She's hosted us in briefing the Government Affairs Committee. Greg King with Greater Muskegon Economic Development. He and his predecessor, Marla, were very instrumental in bringing the community together last September, where we hosted a tour of the site together with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And also from the site, Bernard Sanjimana, who is the site operations manager, and Dave Richardson, who handles numbers and accounting for the site. So I'm asking for your attention tonight because I have been chartered with, and we have been working for the last couple of years to figure out a sustainable future for this factory. And we're facing some headwinds, and we're engaging your policymakers, Representative Snyder, Representative Van Werkum, Senator Bumstead, Congressman Molinar, all, and Representative Meerman, all to help us find a solution for this important factory. So Sun Chemical has operated this factory. Here's a picture of it. It's a very sizable operation. It's on 593 acres. It's been in business since 1978, and it is the last factory in the United States that makes the yellow color that goes into road paint. And I understand in the region, a lot of the factories, paper mills and furniture factories have closed. This factory, the average tenure is 22 years. And they're high quality jobs. They pay very strong union wages. And the company has been a big part of the community for a long time. I know they've allowed emergency staff to come on site to do fire testing because we have high pressure lines. And they've been in the schools hiring interns and many other things of that nature. So a remarkable fact is that our taxpayer dollars, 96% of taxpayer dollars in the United States that pay for the yellow color actually go to foreign companies. 96% of the yellow on America's roads is actually made in foreign countries, primarily China and India. And I know we're all hearing a lot about China. And we're hearing how China games the system. And so the reality is that China has been allowed to set the price for this material in the United States. And the price is set so low that the paint manufacturers look to us and they say, well, you have to sell it to us at the price China sets. And what this means is we are selling product today at a loss. We are not making money on this product, and it is the workhorse for the factory. And so we are approaching lawmakers to intervene and prevent China from selling that product in the United States any longer. In fact, to request that this product be required to be made inside the United States. The other main companies, you'll recognize maybe these names, Eastman Chemical, BASF, and the Flint Group, they've all left the market. And it's been discovered that older people, seniors, and automated cars rely on the yellow lines. And so even Michigan and 24 states have increased the width of the lines to 6 inches from 4 inches. So the United States, our dependence on this material is increasing. Matt Farrar is the Deputy County Administrator who plays a role in wastewater treatment. And he also is a professor of economics at Baker College. And so we asked him to help us understand the economic contribution to the community. We sat down and we figured out what would it cost if Michigan were to require buying this yellow pigment from a company in the United States. And it's something like $350,000 across all of Michigan. And so it begs the question, well, how much benefit to the Muskegon area is this factory? And Matt Farrar ran the numbers and calculated that based on the wages that those 120 workers earn and the money that they go into the community and they spend buying dinners, paying dentists, buying cars, and then the additional employment that comes from that spending equates to $19 million of economic benefit to the Muskegon area. He's written it in a nice report that explains things. And in addition, Sun Chemical pumps 16 to 20 million gallons of water a month out of the wells, uses it to make pigments, and then cleans it for the community. And that gives you another $800,000 per year of benefit that's off the shoulders of the local community in terms of water treatment. Something I didn't realize, Bureau of Labor Statistics explains that chemical workers make some of the highest manufacturing wages in the United States. And we think about, like, if someone is going to go into a service job at a bank or in a restaurant versus a manufacturing job, it's almost like night and day. The amount of wages, the ability to get into a livable wage is really made possible through manufacturing wages, and chemical wages are some of the highest in the United States. So I mentioned the cost to require yellow pigment from a US company for all of Michigan is about $362,000, and the benefit, when you take the $19 million from wages, you add the taxes that pay to the local community, the $800,000 for processing water, the infrastructure lines on our utility bills for bonds, and the $3 million we spend paying contractors and caterers, the total current benefit to the Muskegon area, the township area, is $24.5 million. If we're successful in getting the federal government to adopt this requirement, we'll hire another 20 or so people, and that will push the benefit locally up to $30 million. It's a touchy subject, but I don't know a way around it. One has to understand that the company that you have in Muskegon is being held to prices set by a dictatorship that monopolizes companies, has government employees take control of companies, and then provides loans below what the market will provide, suppresses wages so that their wages are far lower than the United States, doesn't enforce environmental laws, and creates so much capacity and then dumps it on the US market that it is impossible in Europe, in Western Europe, and in the United States to compete with these kinds of practices. And so I want to show you on this chart to the right what has happened. Back in 2003, things were pretty good. We said, okay, let's let China start making the simple chemicals. It's basic stuff. We all remember getting these instructions for furniture that were poorly written, and they had extra screws, and the quality, we all complained a lot about the quality. That was 2003. China has invested in universities, in PhDs, and master's degrees, and I want you to see what happened. Now, this blue line here is the chemical industry globally. China, in 2005, set about taking over the chemistry industry. And now, look at how steeply they've climbed up to take control. They now control 40% of the global chemistry industry. And the United States is actually declining. And so what we're asking for, we held a tour. Many of your representatives came to the tour. We have the governor's office. We have Representative Pat Outman. We have the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Representative Luke Meerman, United Steelworkers, and Congresswoman Skolton and her team, and Representative Will Snyder. We are avidly working with local politicians to help them understand that we're facing an existential threat, that we're selling the product at a loss today, and we cannot do that for much longer. And so it's imperative that you, as the community, express your concern and your wishes to your representatives, because if something doesn't change, no business will want to stay in business without making any profit, and we're selling product at a loss today, and it's just a shame. So we're asking you for your support, and Supervisor, if it is appropriate, those people that I mentioned, if anybody wanted to add anything, or if you had some questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions for you.
Did any of you guys want to add anything?
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, no, if you have any questions on the economic benefits, which really, my work was peer reviewed by Dr. Isley, and it's wrong, okay? I way underestimated everything. My assumptions were that we get taxed at 25% or 30%, which is not the effective tax rate. I assumed everybody saves 25% of their income. That's not the case, right? So Dr. Isley put that number, my number I think was 2.8 multiplier, which is actually closer to 3.4, 3.5. In this case, it's a little bit more. It doesn't include, those numbers don't include many other things that's out there. It's too hard to count, but this is what we know is a fact. And you know, one thing I point out, and I'm not standing here supporting some broader economic policy, but he used the word dumping. Okay, that's a legal term. How many TVs are made in the United States? is because China dumped on our markets back in the 70s, meaning they sold the products for less than what they made them for to do one thing, put our companies out of business. It was very successful at it. Or it might have been Japan, I'm not sure which one was. So this is very important to us. And as a community, you know, the highest and best use for that 600 acres is what's there. And we really want them to be successful. We don't want to see them go away. It'd be detrimental to the entire community. My commissioner is here for this district. I don't know if he has anything to add to this, but thanks for coming.
No, spot on. Thank you, man.
Okay. So.
Yeah, come on up.
Rachel's coming. Oh, sorry. No, go right ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, just real quick. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. I just wanted to stress that, you know, Sun Chemical has been a long time member of the chamber. Not every business has to be a member, but it says so much about their investment. And personally, as someone who grew up in Egelston Township, it means so much that they're continuing to invest in this community, but especially what we're talking about with our state and federal elected officials. You are their first kind of go-to as the local elected officials. And I know it means so much for them that you're the boots on the ground here to hear what's going on in their district. So I encourage you to take advantage of opportunities toward the plant to talk to these employees that are so proud to work there. But really take advantage then as well when our state and federal elected officials come here, because they're really going to lean on you. They lean on us to hear about the economic impact for this company and any encouragement you can give them. What we've heard so far, this is such a no-brainer for them to support Americans specifically. And it's so cool that we have this company in Muskegon that could have this global impact. So I thank you for your service to our community as a local elected official, and I'm happy to help have that dialogue with you, facilitate those meetings, but we're here to support you, to support Sun Chemical.
Thank you.
And I think that's a really good segue. I was just going to add that I hope this is the start of kind of open communication between, you know, leadership over at the Sun Chemical site and you guys. So, you know, we can certainly get together after this and share contact information so that, you know, if there's questions that come up or any requests for, you know, current status update, I'm more than happy to share those with you guys.
Thank you.
Does your company produce yellow pigment for ink, both, or paint?
With the pigment we make can be used in ink, can be used in traffic paint, it can be used in plastic. When you see the yellow caps or safety helmet, it's all used in any multiple product.
Some time ago, our board was approached with just information about converting Sun Chemical to a battery
We are not.
facility. Would you still do the paint and the battery?
It's not converting the plant into a battery plant. It's an addition. So the business, the way it is, stays there, and everything else will be an addition, which will be even more jobs and more opportunities. So it's not a replacement; it's an addition of it.
And more jobs after the addition is done, or creating the addition?
Creating addition.
So then afterward, would you still employ more people after it's built?
Yes. Yeah. Because
put on more workers that come every day.
Yeah, it would be a totally separate plant from the current pigment plant that's in place today.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, if you want to send them to me, I can flip them to the chamber. I can flip them to GMed and the right people to get your answers.
Okay, so
I
just
know
use
you all
the
have my
contact.
email, so if you.
I have one more question, if I could please. Does Sun still use the well water contaminated from the Superfund site? Because Daniel Rodriguez told us at our first public forum meeting that we held here that hasn't been done for years.
no, we don't.
Are you
We
using
haven't
water
used
from it?
we haven't used it for about 2-3 years. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you,
thank
Eric.
you very much for the opportunity to brief you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. The next item of business is Pavilion for the ice cream social. We have a letter from Mr. Derazinski asking us if we would again waive the pavilion rental fee. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the letterhead.
That's the name of the
Sorry.
post.
From Billy Stancroft, asking us if we'll waive the pavilion rental fee and, allow them to use the fire department to operate the water slide the last Saturday of August. So yeah, we would need a motion to again waive the fees and allow the fire department to provide the water slide for the
I
next
think
4
it's
years.
a very good thing that they do. The social really brings in a lot of people to come together. The children are all together. It's just, it is a very fun, and they have in the past let them do this.
Yeah.
So yes, I would like to make a motion that we allow them to waive for the pavilion.
Awesome.
And use the fire department.
And use the fire department, sorry.
I second that.
Alright, let's vote.
Tree.
Yes.
Peggy. Yes. Lori.
Yes.
Rhonda.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Alright, the sewer committee has a couple recommendations.
Yes, we audited sewer files and accounts and businesses, and we wanted to make sure they were being charged correctly. We found some weren't, and some weren't charged at all that should be. Some haven't been hooked up that we believe should be. And we would like to make a recommendation that 5451 Harding Avenue, there's another address too, but this is the campground. The information that's in this packet, if you look at the first photo, we highlighted the lateral there with an arrow. That's the lateral, and the main line comes horizontally across your page on Harding. And Miller Avenue, you'll see is what goes by the beach and up the hill, that's Miller Avenue. So there is a lateral there. The next two photos are our DPW workers taking the lid off that lateral, and you can see the house in the background there up the hill a little bit, some windows there, the dwelling. The next page is the GIS map, and obviously it's not exactly 100% correct. GIS always states that. However, the distance from the corner of the house, which is the gray area there by that number 334 feet, to those white circles is 173 feet from the lateral to the edge of the house. The next page is just one section out of section 42, our township ordinance, and it states that mandatory connection to sanitary sewer. I just want to decide where to start. The owner of any house, building, property for human occupancy, employment, recreation, other purposes situated in the township and abutting on any street, alley, or right of way, which there is located or may in the future be located a public sewer, combined sewer of the township within 200 feet at the nearest point from the property in which the sewer originates. It's hereby required at his expense to install suitable toilet facilities there and to connect such facilities directly with the proper public sewer. And it goes on. So, according to the GIS, we believe that that house is within 200 feet of our sewer lateral. Then the next page is a overhead view. Again, where that lateral is out there on Harding, and just where it's over there by that 50-foot number, if you can see that sort of the top page. And there's a picture of the roof line of the dwelling, and I believe those two long parallel lines are apartments or however they're being used there. There's one other page. Isn't that the back?
Yeah, it just jumps to
Yeah.
the other one.
We did make a recommendation to recommend to the board to send a letter and ask the campground to hook up to sewer. We've had other conversations after this, We're just wondering if there's some reason why they haven't all these years, and wondering if we should maybe reach out to the owner and ask if there's other information that we can we should consider before we make this decision.
I personally, knowing that we've had a couple of, and one of them are in here, that we've had to amend yet again, because we didn't have all the information, I would rather reach out and ask them to come and meet with the sewer committee and help try to discover why this happened, and before we just send them a letter saying, okay, you're expected to hook up within 90 days.
I'm just curious of a question. How long has the campground been there? I know they've been there for a very long
Forever.
time. Yeah, it's been a very
Used to be the
long time.
4-H.
And when did this policy come about that they had to be hooked up within 200 feet?
Oh,
It's in the ordinance, it's been
So who was there first? Campground? I
yeah,
think that
it was
they were-
already there when sewer
So,
went by.
I could be stupid here, but reason why they weren't hooked up, their grandfathered in.
state law and our ordinance requires anyone to hook up that's within, ours is within 200 feet.
Right.
The state law requires them if there's a city's, municipal.
And
Yeah,
so,
but
public
in
sewer.
the Muskegon Township, you don't, until the property changes hands, you don't have to hook up.
exactly, if they changed hands or sold that business, then it would be mandatory for them to hook up.
I know, cause I tried to fight that.
Yes. That, I know we need to go further into this, but that is what happens.
I just think that it would be appropriate to ask him to come in and talk to the sewer
Sure, I
committee
think
and
so.
see if he's got information that we don't have.
And last time when we sent out a whole slew of them, we afforded the opportunity to reach out to us, to contact us, so being more proactive in offering that prior to.
Do it
send a letter,
backwards
I
before they
totally
get
agree.
angry.
I totally agree, I think the sewer committee's on board with that too. So we don't need to make a recommendation vote or anything. We'll, have the building department reach out to the owner. The next one is Fellowship Church. They at one time had 3 classrooms, but they've removed a partition wall, so there's one there. And that third, what was known as a classroom, is being used for storage. So they, Steve Line, who was a maintenance person there, called and asked if Jeff Freeman and I would come pay them a visit and check out and verify that they have indeed one classroom. So we did, and Jeff created this, starts with on 12/19/2024. We did let the church know that we would like to verify that periodically. If they added more classrooms, we would want to know. So they agreed that we could come anytime we'd like to do an audit, and Jeff suggested that we go every January to take a look.
I just have one question on this. It's they no longer have the license for preschool, or this is for.
They do have
church.
preschool.
They do have a preschool.
Yep, it's preschool.
On the side.
And their license
Preschool.
is for how many classrooms?
3. But they don't have 3 classrooms. They have 1. And 1 room is full of storage stuff. They have 1 teacher. And sometimes they have, the most they have is 9 students. Sometimes they only have 3. So the sewer committee recommendation is to, if you look at current, the occupation use of classrooms, the charge is 1 REU per classroom, and they were at 3, so that $285 is added into that total of $1,500.05 quarterly. The next page is from our rate schedule. You've seen this before. I wanted to point out that school says 1 per classroom. In a multi-use building, we can charge per use. So if there was a repair and a sales shop and a restaurant or something, that we could charge for each of those different uses. So that's why, besides the church, that we can charge them for school classroom. And then the page that says recommended at the top is a new calculation sheet, and this will go into their folder in our office, their sewer folder, sewer file. Down toward the bottom, you see per classroom, there's 1 rather than 3. And then the calculation total would be 13,1005 versus that 1,500 something and 5 cents.
I just wanna clarify this.
Sure.
They had 3 rooms, correct? And then they have one at storage, and they took the 2 rooms and made them 1 by taking the divider down. So you say have 3, now they have 1.
Yes, and when they had 3, it was a long time ago when their preschool was up and running in full form. Now it's preschool is free at schools, and they've really dwindled. They're not even sure how much longer they're going to have a preschool. Like I said, so their Thursday class, I think it is, only has 3 kids.
So most of this is just logistical.
So then when this last classroom goes away, we'll just charge them as a church, the church?
Yeah, we'll go look at it if they tell us they don't have preschool there anymore and see what that
So
room
was
looks
this
like.
additional to the church usage?
Yes.
Okay, so this is separate.
Yep. Yeah.
So we need a motion to approve this?
So, yeah, I guess, yeah, actually,
To approve
The decrease?
the decrease.
well, I make a motion that we charge Fellowship Church 13.79 REUs quarterly.
Which is in as 1 classroom, correct?
That includes the square footage of the church and 1 classroom, yes.
I second that.
Okay, you can vote.
Peggy.
Yes.
Cory.
Yes.
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 All right, Alex.
Good evening. First up, we have for you a request. All the medical supplies that we keep in stock over at the station are starting to deplete. That stock is used to replenish our med bags after calls. Some stuff has been depleted, other stuff is getting close to its expiration date and or past that. So this request is to approve that line item for medical supplies in its entirety to allow our medical supply officer to start purchasing those supplies.
And you have those funds in a line?
That is currently the expenditure in that line item, yes.
Does this include Narcan? When it expires, can you trade it up
Narcan
somewhere
is
with
traded
the?
in at the hospital.
That's traded, so that's.
This is like medical tape,
This is different.
Band-Aids, gauze, stuff like that.
Who is our medical supply officer?
Second Lieutenant Josh Slorp.
How often is this supplied, resupplied? Every year, every month?
So typically we try to keep up on it throughout the year with the process, with everything that we've been going through over the last 6 months. There's been errors and gaps in trying to get things on board, and we're just at a point now where we need to act on it. So, and that's not saying that this is all going to be spent at one time in its entirety. He does his diligence in shopping around, and this is just going to allow that if we can get something for a better price, he can go ahead and get it ordered. So we would still supply POs for tracking for that line item.
Do you think a big chunk of this is going to be used up front right now?
There's a very good chance of it.
Yeah.
And we'll get to further down in the budget amendment section.
Motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Brenda.
Yes.
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 Cory.
Yes.
Next,
Do you provide the EpiPens too? Do you have to have some of them on?
we have epinephrine on the trucks, and it's not in the form of an EpiPen, but we administer that through. Next up is a request. We've been having multiple conversations for uniforms. These uniforms that you have the request for in front of you are, actually I brought one with me. Part of it is job shirts. Currently, right now, the full-time, maybe a handful of paid-on-calls have these. The ones that the paid-on-calls have are a little bit different. They have like a string patch on them. Those have all since faded off and been peeling. Job shirts have not been bought for them in, I want to say, 13 years. So we do have a set number of individuals that don't have anything other than t-shirt currently. In an effort to start this process, being that it's winter, the request is for a winter attire job shirt, and then there's also a jacket, which I didn't bring a prop for, but it's the same style. It'll have I believe our patch embroidered on the other sleeve. So the request that you have in front of you is one for each individual department, one duty shirt and one jacket.
What about summertime?
We'll get there. This is our attempt to start.
Is a jacket heavier, thicker?
It's a little bit
coat-like,
heavier.
or
It's
is
like a
it
quilted
thin?
type jacket. You'll see it very common across the fire service. It'll have the same embroidery done on it. And I want to say Muskegon Township, quite other few townships have the same type of jacket. So we're kind of going uniform. Matter of fact, if you've been watching the news with wildfires, they're all the same.
Do we have funds for these?
We do. Currently in that line item, there's $2,500. So this would expend it by $283. The hope is if you looked ahead at the budget amendments, with funds that we have coming in, I have supplemented that line item to help cover the cost of this, and then we can go from there with what our next step will be.
So in essence, you're kind of asking us to approve an extra $283 that we can amend the budget.
Well,
by
we
later.
probably should have had the budget amendments ahead of this, but yes. And just for informational purposes, there's multiple line items within the fire department currently that are expended into the negative. You will see in this budget amendment that that'll bring everything back into the green.
Are you planning on budgeting better for uniforms?
That is not currently up to me.
No, but it needs to be.
If that's us and the fire chief.
Yeah, so that would be between the fire chief. Again, we're dealing with a budget from the previous retired fire chief who had his plan in place moving forward.
Sure.
A lot of those line items were expended further for things that we did have to catch up on and needs that we did have to take care of by our interim fire chief. And I'm left with what you got in front of me currently.
No, but didn't you say you had a budget amendment?
Corey, when you came in tonight, there were 3 extra pages that were not in the packet. This one that's stapled landscape is the budget amendments Alex was talking about.
Okay.
So I should have fixed my agenda and put this in there, but I didn't have time to do that tonight. And I just put the budget amendments last. But everything that he's asking for, we sat down and went over it in length. And it's all, he adjusted the budget and everything will be covered when he did this. And Chris in the office also went over this too. Right.
So at year's end, Chris, our deputy clerk, would bring us some budget amendments, and these would be included there that we would. need
Yeah,
to
and there's
approve.
another
We're
page.
doing these before the
Before the
expenditures
year
are
end?
made. There still may be, budget amendments at the end of the year if for some unforeseen reason we go over in a line item.
So we're not waiting
That's
until
what-
the end of the year to
Right,
amend the
we're
budget, we're
trying
doing it as
to
we go.
keep it,
Yep.
get it in the green and keep it in the green.
Yeah.
This one too, Corey.
Because we usually wait till the end of the year.
You what?
This sheet too. These are the budget. There's a packet that's line by line, and then there's this snapshot.
I have extra copies if you need them. So like I said, this is an attempt to start being uniform across the board. Currently, we're requiring 2 duty nights per paid on call per month. Depending on the time of hire, some of them may have been issued an old version of this, but like I said, they are in severe deterioration, discoloring, and some have not received anything other than the t-shirt. So this is an attempt to try to start at least getting something on them to look professional while they're doing their duty.
Make them feel proud. Yes, exactly.
That is the other part of it.
Do they have, I see that they got, but these are dress uniforms?
These are dress uniforms. These are entirely separate from duty uniforms. These are for...
My dad was in the military, so I understand dress and not dress.
Yep.
I was a military kid, so. Absolutely, I believe that you guys should have uniforms. I'm a mechanic, I have uniforms, so you will wear them out. People puke on you, bleed on you.
So keep in mind that this is speaking lightly, this is a major expenditure to try to catch everybody up. So this isn't something that we're looking at consistently. We're trying to get to the point where we can maintain it.
Well, absolutely.
So,
but we love our fire department, and you guys should have that stuff. So I make a motion to approve this.
I will second that.
Alright, we'll roll call vote.
Trudy,
Yes.
Peggy,
Yes.
Cory,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. What about boots? I didn't see anything about boots.
so just for your information, I currently have a list formulated that I've had everybody fill out as far as what they were issued from their time of hire. It's a little alarming, but we're gonna get there. Like I said, this is step one, and we're gonna have to come up with something on how we replace that or how we issue it, things like that. That's all stuff to be worked on. Keep in mind, just like a mechanic, we're not kneeling or stepping in some of the most desirable areas, depending on what incident we're mitigating, right? So just because it looks good doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be replaced. So, but those are all for the next chief to figure out and how that's gonna go about.
Are boots part of the turnout gear? Were they part of the turnout gear grant or no?
Structure boots for structural firefighting.
That was part of the turnout gear?
I don't know if I think it was
The
part,
grant,
I think it was
that
part of the
included
grant.
with
I wanna say Chief Cleveland may have paid for some gloves and stuff like that outside of that, but I'm not 100% sure how.
And that was for full time, right? Like
That was
6,
for-
did we get 6 sets?
This last one we got 6 sets through, yes. But the actual major gear purchases we do the last time everybody was supplied with a new set.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, those are separate from duty boots. These are just a regular pair of duty boots that we would wear on shift.
Yep.
Next up, so the DOT inspections that you approved for us to have done on the apparatus, turned up a couple issues, nothing that was major. We're gonna work through those and get those done through the budget amendment process. The major one that you have in front of you is a recommendation from Advantage Fleet to take engine 620 out of service. You can see there the multiple issues that are listed. It will not pass a DOT inspection, deeming it by federal motor carrier standards unsafe to operate. We have since taken that unit out of service, and it will remain out of service until we come up with how we want to do. So, as the mechanic, my question for you is, I can either get quotes as far as having this stuff fixed, or if you continue reading on, 620 is the engine that we were actually scheduled to replace with the new unit that's coming at the end of June. Projected date, end of June. With that said, I can get estimates for repairs if you want. Keep in mind that's going to take some time, and then we're talking at least a partial refurb with pulling the tank leaks, welding that, fixing the frame rails, and that's going to take time. So we're at that 5-month window where I don't feel that it's gonna be necessary to try to maintain that piece.
And when the new piece of equipment comes, this will be taken out of service permanently? Is that was the idea?
That would be up to the chief.
We can make a motion to take it out of service permanently tonight, right?
Well, I don't need a motion, it's already out of service, I'm just asking if that's fine, we can leave it out of service remaining, but I just don't, for you guys to see it just sitting there, there's a reason why it's just sitting there.
Does it change our effectiveness as a
No,
fire department?
it's currently our reserve engine.
So,
So you can wait until the end of June.
We can do whatever we want with it up until that, I'm just
And
saying that
past
we
that.
shouldn't be operating it.
so
And we haven't been.
No.
That means it's not applicable right now.
I mean, at this point, we originally had conversations of maybe trying to do a refurb and things like that.
Yeah.
That is gonna get astronomical, because there is a lot to it that needs to be done.
So what would happen to it if it's set and never be used?
That is up to you guys, if you'd like to sell it and eliminate it from our fleet,
so
or if you wanna try the refurb process.
I
I don't wanna give a
because I-
recommendation as a mechanic.
no, that's
So-
okay. Because it's $900,000 to replace it,
You're looking upward more than that now.
so $1 million to replace a fire truck. Even if it costs $600,000 to refurbish, we would still save $400,000 if we had to replace it.
If we need it,
But it's already coming out of service in June.
Yeah, but
that
you
was
could
the
put
plan.
it, but you can leave it in service because we're a growing community. I'm just throwing numbers and I'm trying to,
So with that said, in mind, that currently holds the bay that the new truck would rotate into. So we're running short on room, per se, to start. But again, that's up to the new chief and what you guys decide you wanna do.
What year is this?
It's a 1994 Pierce.
So it's 30 years old, so, and their life expectancy is what?
Right around 20.
So why would we want to put 400,000 or 500,000 into?
So we don't really need to do anything.
This is
I would
more just an informational thing, I just want direction as if I can leave it out of service, or if you want me to try to start getting you bids or
I'd
quotes.
leave it out and wait for
service.
chief to come on board.
That's good enough for me, if everybody's in agreement for that.
No estimates. Save your time.
Next up. Smoke alarm program that we currently have going, smoke alarm lock boxes, CO alarms, address signs, that comes out of the senior millage. Our current supply is down to bare minimum again. We had to do an emergency purchase today for address sign stakes, just to be able to go out and get those done while we were out doing alarm installs. I was asked to put some quotes together, in which I had Firefighter Brown do that, as far as projection cost of what we're looking at. Keep in mind, 540 mailings were just sent out to seniors to try to take part in this program. The quotes that you have in front of you are, well, they're all one basic quote at different places of purchase, but this quote in its entirety, that totals $23,083.88, would be enough to cover, on average, roughly 100 to 125 of those homes. Those numbers are come up with an average that we have where we're installing roughly 5 smoke alarms per home, a CO alarm, typically an address sign, and a lock box. That can vary. Some places don't want a lock box. Some residents only need 3 smoke alarms. Some need 10 smoke alarms. So this is just kind of a ballpark average that we come up with as far as needs. The request is to approve that amount so we can get a purchase coming, and with tariffs and all that going on, or how that's going to play out, I don't know how that's going to affect cost later on down the road. But currently, this is the pricing that we have to get them here to keep and maintain the alarm installs that we're doing currently. I also threw in there and asked if we approved an additional to double the order, to whereas we're depleting these, we can keep them coming in, so we're not coming back again with a request like this.
And we also have those funds available to use
In the
as such.
senior millage fund, they are available, yes.
Okay, I
This,
just wanna make sure.
and I wanna thank these guys because they've really been catching up on these lists that I thought were being worked on. But I sent the last 500 address labels out. I had Heather send them out so we could get completely through this program. All we'll have going forward are any people that just turned 60 or new seniors that move into the area. It will be a much smaller chunk at any given time.
And keep
But
in
this
mind,
completes it.
we are at a point now where we are doing return installs for residents that had these done over 10 years ago, other than the last 10 years, where their alarms are starting to expire now as well.
That was a free grant through the state, was it, Dave? For free fire alarms. That wasn't the senior millage, but they're expired now.
Do you know how many households have used these?
So,
things?
Second Lieutenant Swartz is in charge of the smoke alarm install, scheduling and getting us all prepped and ready to go for those. I did ask him for some statistics to that. I think he's working on those. I haven't received those yet, but as soon as I get those, then I can pass them on to you, so you at least have those. But like I said, I'm not saying we're going to get 540 requests back. If we do, I'll be back.
And Joe,
but-
one more time, how many seniors approximately live in our household?
I brought.
30.
Yeah. No. This is it. And this is just there are 2,753 registered people over 60 years old.
How many households is that? I think, is it safe to,
I
it's
know.
not safe to say it's 2 per household, because sometimes they.
How many did you say, a good approximate again?
There's 2,753 registered voters over the age of 60.
That's just
Now, that's not people that aren't registered to vote or that don't vote anymore.
And we do get people that may not be registered to vote that don't get mailings that show up at the station and say, hey,
Yeah.
we heard there's this program going on. What do I need to do to get in there?
We got some at open house that hadn't heard about
Yeah,
it.
we did a phenomenal job at open house. And the on-duty staff is really good with getting their information, as far as number of bedrooms, how many floors, levels to the home, and what it is that they're requesting from us, so.
And this also gives the firefighters an opportunity to be in the home so they're more familiar if they do get a call there.
It's great PR,
I know, they were
and above and
great. They put
beyond
up-
that, it's
They put up a
better for our
lockbox
safety.
at my house. It only took them 3 tries, because every time they came out, they had a call. So they had to run and go away before they could come back.
So keep in mind, the on-duty staff is doing all these installs during the day while they're on shift.
They even came in the evening to finish my job, so
Sure.
I
And,
appreciate it.
I mean, if we get a major load of these that come in, we may do like a couple evenings, get everybody in, let's go out, disperse, and try to get as much done as we can. So that's kind of what the request for is the blanket, so we have that stuff in stock to be able to keep up and maintain, because this is something that we don't really want to be behind on. We kind of want to be on the forefront of it, so.
So is this something that we could, this is the second time since we've been voted that we've had to get fired. And nothing gets you guys, but is there something that we can, like a revolving thing that they,
No, but he asked for what he needs plus double.
So I'm
we could
asking
just
to
look at
double it
that.
in the amount of
I don't see a
$46,107.
problem with that. The funds are there for that.
it's not that I have a problem with it, I'm trying to eliminate you coming back every 3 months.
Yeah.
to the
That's what
ask.
this blanket is for, so as we're utilizing these, we can order more and keep them coming in. So if we have this prior approval, all I gotta do is turn in POs and we're ordering it, and we're keeping track of this to make sure that we don't expend over that line amount that you've approved.
Good.
It's a formality, but it's a way for us to do what it is we need to do for you guys, for the service, or for the public, so.
No, I appreciate it.
And
Thanks for
you're
clarifying.
tracking, how many were installed, right? I know the records in the past weren't, like your question was how many participated, but some records weren't.
Yes, that is correct, and we're working
The records
forward
should be listed.
to try to make sure that everything is tracked now to try to get some of the most accurate numbers to the best of our abilities moving from point on. So, and like I said, once he gets me those numbers or statistics, and I can pass them on. Keep in mind, like I said, those are going to be from a certain point moving forward. So as far as complete accuracy, I
I
can't.
do have one report from the former chief that you're welcome to check and see if those numbers are in there.
Okay.
So you're asking for 46, 167, 76,
That's what I calculated, yes.
not to exceed.
Not to exceed. And again, I mean, prices are gonna fluctuate, so as we're going through this, we just gotta work together to try to get through it, but that'll help us be able to do what we need to do when we need to do it.
I'll make a motion to approve an amount not to exceed 46,167.76
I second it.
for supplies for the senior millage fire safety
Install program.
With that, I gotta ask you a question. What about non-seniors? We can vote, but after that, I would like to ask that.
Alright, let's vote.
Rhonda?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 So to answer your question, we have had some donated in the past, and I do believe that we have made some purchases in regards to that. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, that's Second Lieutenant Swartz's line, but there have been instances where we have gone out and done installs with those types of alarms, not through the senior millage program.
It started with the grant program that I think we had countywide, and then we would buy some every year just in case somebody called, but it really wasn't a whole lot.
No, I think it's a good idea, that's why I was asking.
So this is one of the bigger things that we push in the fire service for smoke alarms. They're known to save lives. Key boxes at a minimum not only save us time as far as entering into the home, it saves on damage. Because if we have a senior and we have to break a door down, now the senior has to incur the cost of a broken door. So, you know, same with CO alarms, address signs. We struggle in this township for addresses.
No.
Bad. This program has helped immensely get that moving forward, especially at night. I mean, the address signs are so much easier to see. We are actually installing them, so we know where they're going to be located. They're not just going to be all over. So the program is priceless, really.
I know this last year's open house, there were, I don't know how many smoke detectors given away too with prize buckets and things. Seemed like there was a considerable amount,
Good amount of those. There were some second story escape ladders and that were given away.
At free, to residents, someone benefited for some from.
We just have a lot of low income families here, and the last thing on their mind is gonna be the bottom fire detector, so if that's
Be
something that we
surprised
should.
how many homes don't have them, or they're non-working.
I probably got more than I need.
Don't come check my house.
Do you qualify? Next up is the list of budget amendments that was formulated. These numbers are coming off of the contract funds from the county for the wastewater coverage. I believe it's going to come in two payments to us. The first one's billed out, I believe, $80,000. The second one's going to be billed out in May for $82,000, which would put $162,000. That's through the fire service contract into fire department budget. I have done to the best of my ability to appropriate these funds in the line items that you have in front of you. When I say that, if you look at your expense and revenue reports, some of those line items were already in the negative. These funds and these line items that you see in front of you are increased by. That will take all of those line items out of the red and put them into the green, or into the green and then some, to get us through the next 6 months of operating. A lot of these numbers were projected off of our 6 month. This is what we spend in 6 months. This is what we're expecting in the next 6 months. When you first took office, my first conversation to you in concern was our paid runs and duty nights for the paid on call line item. That just this month has been expended into $38 into the negative. So that's why you see the total of $40,000 being put in there, which is projected with Chris's help for the minimum wage increases that we just had in January and then again in February. So again, these are all projections, but this is what we're anticipating at the route we're on going, that's what it's going to cost us. Same thing with overtime. That line item is the other big one. That is to pull that line item out of the negative and then give us what we started with, hopefully. This one, we've had some severe weather incidents where we've actually been able to staff up with that overtime. We had a full-time firefighter that was still in probationary, so we had to fill those shifts with him. I don't anticipate that we could expend this, but again, it only takes one major incident. So this is just a projection of, again, at that 6 month increment. A couple other things to touch on: the capital equipment, all the way at the bottom, the $13,970. That wasn't my issue. It became my issue this morning. That was for the purchase of the brush truck skid unit that was bought, I believe, under last budget. That was not budgeted for in this current budget year. We did just receive that finally here in January, so that's why that expense is showing now. So we had to cover that expenditure in the capital outlay. The equipment and PPE maintenance, you'll see, is at $28,000. With that said, we're going to go on to the Argo here in a minute. The price of that has increased just over $3,500 from what the county agreed to pay us. So that additional $3,500 would be included in that equipment and PPE line item, as well as the trailer that we would need to put it on, estimating no more than $5,000. Some of the other stuff is, like I said, going off of that 6 month window. We added a little bit more into the training line items, because if we do get this Argo, there's obviously some extra trainings that are going to have to take place before we can put it operationally in service. So.
Do you think your current trailer for the Razor could hold the Argo?
No, and I'm going to tell you why. So when seconds matter, we don't have time to load a piece of equipment.
Well, I'm aware. I just didn't know if you had, if you were going to take the other one.
So weight-wise, I believe that's a 3,500 pound axle. Yes, technically it would. Lengthwise, at 10 feet, yes, it would. The issues we have with that currently is that trailer fits that piece of equipment front to back. There's no room to tie on, nothing like that.
Okay.
With that said, I have reached out for trailer quotes for the Argo, looking at a dual axle, a couple feet longer than what the actual piece of apparatus is. That'll give us a little extra if we had to throw extra equipment on there, or some room to be able to strap it down.
Okay.
So that could come from the next chief, or if we get to that point, then we'll deal with it then. But I did reach out for some rough ideas as far as quotes, so we could formulate this together with you. And this is about the 6th time I've done this.
I know.
So, any other questions as far as what's in there? You will see the part-time clothing one. Again, I added an additional $5,000 to that, which would cover that additional $283 that you approved earlier. That would allow a little bit of windows If we wanna buy duty pants or boots or whatever it is, that's for later discussion, but it's in there, so we have it appropriated. Now, I was saying that when you do budget amendments in June, we may be able to pull and move or whatever needs to be done, if we're not expending something, but this is scratching the surface once again. There's some building repairs and that need to be done that we've not allotted a lot of extra funds for, in trying to get equipment and, the training and the staffing and stuff like that, the important things.
You have enough money in your training budget?
Currently? Or with this amendment?
With this amendment.
With this amendment, it should put us operational, yes.
Makes me nervous when you say that.
Well, there's an additional, let's see, what's in the training? So, currently left in the training budget is $2,159. That's, I believe, is full-time, comes out of that line item. There's also a training for part paid for $3,089. Both of those would be increased. The full-time would be increased by $4,600, and the paid on call would be increased by $5,800. So it should put us feasible if you're looking at in which we've spent already $5,000 in the full-time and $8,900 in the paid on call. So it'll get us where we need to be. I'm not saying next year this may not need to be inflated a little bit more. Obviously the wage increases and stuff like that, that's all going to factor into the final numbers, but this gives us something to work off. It also gives us an idea as far as projections for next year's budget. So.
I sat with Alex for about an hour Friday night going over this line by line, and then he met with Chris. He was very thorough. It all makes sense. I think that someone should make a motion to accept as amended.
And just to touch on that, after we had that conversation, I was back over there for 3 hours today, trying to pull funds to reallocate for this 13 that we didn't know about at the time. So we've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb to hopefully keep us operational for the next 6 months.
I make a motion that we accept the budget amendment.
I second it. Okay, we can vote.
I'm still looking. I do accept it. I'm just nervous. I think training should be very important to us. So I know it is important to you, and that's something.
And it is, and don't think that we're not going to do it. We're going to come back to you if we need to. The hope is we don't. We could move or reallocate if needed.
Yeah.
Currently, when we get to the Argo, if the approval goes through and I order it, they're looking at towards the end of May before it's even here anyways. So we would have a general idea already going into June if we needed to pull some from the general fund, or if we had line items that we could pull out of to accommodate that.
Yeah, I'm going to training next week, Monday through Wednesday. Yeah, it'll probably cost me $2,800 just for myself. But training's very expensive, but it's well worth it.
We can always amend at the end of the fiscal year, that's what we usually do. If we need more.
If we go over, we do budget amendments at the end.
Yeah,
We try not to. But
these numbers again are coming from the contract funds that are coming in. This is just allocating those funds out so you can kind of see where we're looking to use them. Again, all of that factored in when we may get the Argo. We don't have to buy a trailer until we know we're getting it, or until we know it's going to be here, things like that. We're not looking to go out and buy a trailer tomorrow, obviously.
Yeah.
So what contract funds are we talking about besides the millage? No.
service agreement for the wastewater.
The wastewater, yeah.
Oh, from the wastewater.
Yeah. And this is coming in because we were technically a year behind because that contract wasn't approved.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of our saving grace right at the moment.
Yes.
So does that 162 include last year's and this year?
Yes.
Yes.
Because it was 80.
The 80,000 should come in this week, Christine told me. And then I'm to rebill for the Argo and the 82,000 because it increases 2.5 every year on May 1st, which will be paid by June 30th.
Yeah,
Then it'll be caught up.
Yeah,
Yes.
that Argo
Quote,
expense
unquote. Then
at
it'll
the
be
top,
May
that's,
1st of every year.
Yes.
that's an in and out, basically. You'll see it at the top under
Yep.
other reimbursements, and then you can see it coming out of the capital vehicle line item.
Okay, now what?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 All right, in front of you, you should have both quotes. The original quote for the Argo that you contracted with the county for approval. That was on the county's end. I don't have anything telling me to order it or what is going from this point. I did reach back out to them to confirm costs. Unfortunately, new year, new cost, and no 2024 models were available. This is from the Argo dealer up in Gaylord. There's only a couple of them in the state. The other one, I want to say, was in Kalamazoo or something. Don't quote me, but that was 6 months ago when I did that portion. They told me that they weren't sure that they could even help us with this process. So this is kind of our said, this is where we're at. But you'll see the new purchase price, I believe, is $49,632.43, and that's an increase of $3,549.89. Again, that difference there, I had already budgeted into the equipment line item to cover the difference if you so choose to go with this quote.
Do we have to have it shipped? I mean, is it feasible to drive up there and get it ourselves, or no? That's $1,500.
We would need
just
to
figured
put
we could-
it on too.
Well, I'm assuming that's going to be shipped from the manufacturer to the dealer.
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's a ship.
Is
Okay,
what
thank
that
you.
freight would be, and then it would be
Sure.
our responsibility
To get
go
it
get
on top of
yes.
that. Thank you.
If I remember right, I think the township guy said that he would work with us if there was any overages. I think that's what he told us.
No, they put the figure right in the contract. They put that quoted figure that we had right in the contract, that's
Something
all
like
they're
that.
gonna reimburse.
Yep.
Because he had to get it approved.
He meant as far as what we spent it on.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe I just took that differently. So. No. I make a motion to accept that.
Is that to purchase?
To
Go ahead
purchase
and
it, yes. Go ahead and purchase
Wait,
it.
what?
I make a motion to purchase the Argo.
Which one?
Well, it's the same one, but one.
Oh, by different inflation.
Yeah.
Oh, with inflation. Oh,
Yeah.
we're not doing inflation. Gotcha, now it's inflation.
I mean,
I support.
should we,
What was your question?
I didn't know if we should wait, I mean, because we have a workshop tomorrow about to hire a new chief, and Alex is super busy, but maybe it's time.
Oh, we don't have, Taylor has work tomorrow. But we expect him to work tomorrow if we say. go ahead
I
and
do,
purchase it?
because with these tariffs coming, they'll add another $5,000.
I'm on your time clock tomorrow anyways.
Alright,
I'm good.
let's vote.
And that's the 49,632.
Yes.
32.
Are you coming tomorrow or
Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday is the workshop.
Trudy?
Yes.
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
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 Does that mean he has to order it tomorrow?
Whenever you find the time.
Well, we're gonna try to beat the tariffs.
Hurry every chance you get.
Yeah, yeah.
You got 30 days.
Yeah, because it's been extended for 30 days.
Yeah, and I think that original quote was back, I don't even know, it was a while ago. The original one was amended again with an update, so this is actually the third time I've reached out to them, so. All right, on to the fun stuff. So tonight we are here to recognize our newest firefighters for completing all tasks and demonstrating competency in performing the duties of an Egelston Township firefighter. We will do this by conducting a badge pinning and then completing a firefighter's oath. Some background on the process from being a probationary firefighter to getting to the firefighter level. requires minimum certifications. First one is a firefighter 1 and 2 with hazmat and incident command. That's a total of roughly 210 hours that each individual puts into that. In addition, the emergency medical responder is an additional 56 hours. Emergency driver's training is 18 hours, and vehicle extrication certification is 12 hours. Once these certifications are achieved, they must then demonstrate competency in department-specific equipment and procedures. This requires at least another 30 plus hours of training. None of the hours that are listed are reimbursed as in completed on their own time, along with portions of them going through the department probationary process as well. So the following firefighters will be recognized tonight. So Shamara Woolworth comes from a small town with big dreams. Her journey in first response started in 2021, graduating from Great Lakes EMS Academy in Grand Rapids as an EMT basic and graduating Fire Academy with the City of Big Rapids shortly thereafter. Shamara spent 4 years of her career with Rockford Ambulance. Upon relocating to the area to pursue a larger fire career, Shamara joined Egelston Fire in November of 2023. Her family consists of her wife, Brittany Woolworth, 2 cats, and a dog. Shamara's purpose for first response is to support her community and live by one rule: always do the right thing. Shamara wants Egelston Township to know that she has the best job in the world. Next up is Logan Hruskach. He's from Muskegon. He served 6 years in the Army Reserves and has been with the Egelston Township Fire Department since October of 2022. Logan is a third-generation firefighter following in his family's footsteps. He has 1 daughter, Camila, and is engaged to the soon-to-be wife, Nina. Next up is Dave Glotzbach. Dave is a lifelong resident of Muskegon, married to Amy, and has 2 adult children, Melody and David, DJ. He's a second-generation firefighter, as his dad proudly served Muskegon Township for 20 years as a paid-on-call. Dave officially joined the fire service as a paid-on-call firefighter in April of 1987. Side note, that was 5 days before my birthday. During his years as a paid-on-call, he obtained licensing as an EMT specialist and worked full-time for ProMed ALS Transport Ambulance Service. Dave's first opportunity for full-time came in 1995 when he was hired by the City of Muskegon. He then returned to Muskegon Township as a full-time firefighter in September of 1996 and was promoted to fire inspector in 1997. He became a certified fire instructor in 1998 and currently a certified instructor 2. He was then promoted to fire chief in January of 2002 and served in this position until his retirement in September of 2023. Davis served the Muskegon Area Fire Chiefs Association as a member of the board and committee positions from 2002 to 2023. He's also served the Western Michigan Fire Chiefs Association as a director to the Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs Executive Board. In 2014, he was elected as vice president and then president in 2018. Dave also served on the Myosha General Industry Part 74 Firefighter Standards Committee for the most recent rule updates. He served on the Michigan Township Association Power Plan Fire and EMS Policy Committee, which meets twice a year to review safety policies for fire and EMS agencies. Dave then joined Egelston Township Fire Department in September of 2023 as a paid-on-call firefighter. Chris Brown is a lifelong resident of Egelston Township and graduated from Oak Ridge High School in 2010. Chris joined Egelston Township Fire in 2014 and graduated the Muskegon County Fire Academy Emergency Medical Responder course in 2015. He completed his Fire Company Officer Certificate in 2019. He was then hired by Egelston Fire in July of 2024 as a full-time member. When not on shift, he enjoys spending time with his wife Nicole and sons Logan and Braxton. So a little bit about the badge pinning and the Florian Cross. The firefighter's badge, or Florian Cross, is often confused with the Maltese Cross. The Florian Cross is what the majority of fire departments use. It carries the same 8-point structure as the Maltese Cross, but has rounded edges. Some historians indicate the Florian Cross came into existence in the 4th century and was named after a Roman officer. the Roman army tasked St. Florian with organizing firefighting brigades for the city. Although St. Florian and his men were not the first firefighters in the city, they were considered to be the best and most well-known. Historical images of St. Florian often depict him in uniform with a bucket of water in hand and a burning building at his feet, which is how he became a patron saint of firefighters. Perhaps more importantly, however, is that legend tells us they had a creed or belief that their purpose in life was to serve those less fortunate. They held that service, honor, and integrity, what they may have called gallantry, chivalry, or courage, to find the service to others that they performed and we provide today. By our very nature as firefighters, residents still invite us into their homes during the worst day of their lives, knowing that we are there to make things better. This public trust is a tremendous responsibility and one rarely afforded to anyone, including firefighters in other countries. It is our goal to maintain the public trust afforded every day in each one of us, and that the trust will never be extinguished. At this time, each firefighter receiving their badge will have it pinned by the person of their choosing. So Shamara will be pinned by her wife, Brittany. Logan will be being pinned by his daughter Camila and fiance Nina. Dave will be pinned by his son David, or DJ. And then Chris Brown will be pinned full-time by his wife Nicole and son Logan. And then if you could all please stand back up front here. So this is the firefighter oath. If you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to carry out the duties as a firefighter, answering all the department's alarms whenever it is in your power to do so? And do you agree to respect and honor the rules and regulations of the department, performing your duties to the best of your abilities with integrity and compassion?
I do.
With that, I present to you your newest fully certified Egelston Township firefighters.
Congratulations and thank you.
So just a side note, this hasn't been done in a very, very long time. So this is something that does mean a lot to the department, and we look forward to doing more of this. I think it's definitely a trust building opportunity and something that they should be recognized for. So I appreciate your time. I know it took some time, but this will get us caught up. Thank you.
The next item is, personnel file policy. In your packet, there's a letter from Joan. Did you wanna talk at all, Joan?
I can, it doesn't matter. I got a FOIA request from a board member for personnel files. I reached out to the attorney because I had concerns with what I should give and what I should not. She said that she would, to ask for an extension, and she would take care of that portion. But she also recommended that we change our personnel policies and procedures to read as she recommends. And I've given you what it currently says. Number 2 is the recommended change, and then number 3, I did it for you completely to put in your book with the changes if you take the recommendation.
On page 4 in that 3.2b, I think you need to add the personnel supervisor or personnel, it just says the personnel may view any personal files. I think there's a word missing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all.
Could be, I typed it in her.
Back and forth, yeah.
Yeah.
Personnel officer review, it says in Laura's recommended change.
Yeah, I'll check that. And add it.
Bye. Would someone like to make a motion to do that change?
So in essence, it removes board members.
Yes.
From viewing personnel files.
I make a motion to accept it. As written.
With the one correction.
With the one correction. Sorry.
I second that. We can roll call vote.
Peggy.
Yes.
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 All right, the next 3 items, or 2 items, Benj had requested, to talk about. Could we table those until he's able to be present?
Yes, I think we should make a motion to table those till he's present.
That's F and G.
You're just gonna put them on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, communications,
Oh, we need it. Support.
oh, sorry.
I'll support.
Do we have to roll call? If we do all in favor?
Should we do, are we supposed to do 2 separate motions?
No.
Come on, do things together?
No, because they both come from Ben.
No, he made a motion to table F and G.
Okay. Any opposed? Perfect. All right, there's a communication about the website slider. There was another email that I got today, that the verbiage was incorrect. I will follow up with either Benj or Cassidy or the client support and figure out what we want to do with that.
You weren't sure what she was asking when she said sliding?
Yeah. I can look at the email real quick.
I'm not sure what he was asking when he said slider. Is
Yeah,
it a
we-
banner that just
Um,
runs
I think
continuously?
it's
We can do that already, but this in this email is asking for 3 or 4 lines long.
Yeah,
It's-
sliding
it
panel
might
with
be
3 lines.
That long, but it'll scroll like till you see the whole thing. You know, if you want like a paragraph that you can see, that's not what we can do right
He
now.
wants multiple slides containing images and or text at the top of the homepage. And then
For
he's-
whatever reason, they were concerned with accessibility, so you need to get more detail.
So,
on it.
that was just a communication update I was going to give, and then he already saw it in the packet and responded, so, to be determined.
But, you jumped over A.
Oh, DPW doesn't have anything.
Oh, no, okay.
Herb's on vacation. If you need anything, reach out to Ed or Mike. No PC reports. There's no sewer committee report, just the things. Any board of trustee reports?
I'm tired.
Communication, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, communication from the board.
Okay, the park plan will, almost always, I think I mentioned before, there's $5,000 grant. It's due by March 15th if we choose to apply for something. We haven't applied, we've tried to apply every time since I've been here, in 2020 as elected.
Herb
If
and
we
I have
wanna apply
already
for something, yeah.
Herb and I have already discussed possibly some solar lights for Pine Ridge on the eaves of our pavilion, just to deter vandalism.
Yeah.
And possibly some cameras on the same.
I just don't wanna miss it. If we missed one because
It
the
just
money
won't.
wasn't, the construction that had happened didn't happen soon enough, and then you have to complete one project before you can apply to another one, so that's $10,000 a year, almost always they approve things. The ADA, they wouldn't give us up to 5,000, I think it was like 3,500 for the door openers for the the main and then the library, but, we have another bathrooms too, I think so. But I don't want us to miss it, it's like, it's a simple 1-page, application, you have to, submit some bills or.
When is it due by?
Estimates, March 15th. So I just don't wanna, I'm happy to work on it, or happy to help someone work on it, happy to do lights or whatever we wanna do, I just don't want us to miss the money.
Herb wanted to review it and see if he needed help, so I told him that I would, print the application and send it to him. He wanted to see how this light was gonna work before he proceeded, but he's really thrilled with the coverage that he gets with it, so. And those are the things, we don't have any power out there, so that could really make a difference, I think.
We could even do, the next time it comes again, 4 more or something else.
And I think it would be good for the department heads to get involved in that, because then they'd know when to watch for it and say, ooh,
yeah,
I've been waiting to buy this, now's the time.
Yep.
Just
Good,
my
if you
thought.
need help, I'm available.
Who applies for it?
Written 2 or 3 of them.
Herb's gonna apply.
Fire department applied for it, I've applied for it in the past.
Submit it? I'm not sure.
I'm sorry?
Does the supervisor have to submit it?
No,
Okay.
no, the fire department
Yep.
applied for it, I've applied
Yeah,
for
I
them in
think
the
I've-
past, Trudy
2 or
applied
3.
for
Yeah.
some.
So Herb is gonna do it this time.
He wants to see if it's something that he feels confident at, and I told him I'd help him if he
And he
needed.
will be back in
But I-
time from vacation to work on this?
Oh, yeah.
14th of February, so.
It's only gone for a week.
Oh, okay.
I'll
I
check
didn't
in
know how
with
long it
him
was gone.
like the
Yeah.
last week of February,
Thank
and if he needs help, then I'll help or Trudy.
Perfect, I just don't want us to miss it, it's like free
Yeah,
money
thank you,
almost.
Trudy. Alright, need a motion to pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Roll call vote.
That leaves it time before we.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Alright, public comment.
Sandra Swab. I want to let everybody know what's going on here. It needs to be addressed, unfortunately. I'll explain in a minute why it can't be. Our current supervisor is working a full-time job teaching in Grand Rapids. She is not here half the time that most people work a full-time job. Unfortunately, our government works against us, allows us to have to pay her over $46,000 to put in minimum number of hours working. I don't think this is fair. I think our government needs to be changed. And unfortunately, we the people are the only ones that can change it. And it isn't going to be easy because the government runs everything. It's a shame. I worked a salary position for many, many years. I didn't work 40 hours. Most of the time I worked 50 or more. Also had to come in on weekends just because things needed to be done. I think something needs to be done to change this. Our supervisor is supposed to be also the personnel director. And when it came up that we needed to hire a cleaning person, her statement was she didn't want to look at 89, if I remember the correct number, applications. And she pawned it off on Peggy and Herb to look at the applications and go through it. She being the personnel director, that should have been part of her responsibility, and she should have been here doing that. At the last meeting, special meeting, discussing or interviewing for fire chief, there was a discussion of the union contract and what kind of positions could or couldn't be added or assigned. And once again, she wanted to pawn off somebody else reading that contract. I think this is a shame. It needs to change in some fashion soon. Again, she's not the only one that doesn't put anywhere near the number of hours they should in the office.
Any other public comment?
Good evening, Deb Ackerman. I just want to, I want to take the opportunity because most of the firefighters are here tonight. I want to thank you. I'm not sure who went to my mother's address last night, 141 South Michigan. It wasn't my mother. It was my sister that fell in the driveway. Just to give you an update, I'm not sure who it was, but you guys did a fantastic job. She was very appreciative. She wanted me to thank you. She ended up breaking her leg, the tibia and the fibula. She had surgery today. She's doing good, as expected, I guess. But I just want to take the time to say thank you.
Any other public comment? Board comments?
I think you all look great. I'm happy to see you and your families. You deserve uniforms, obviously. That's like the bare minimum. I too have heard comments from people that I know several times that they got the utmost care when their family was at risk and injured or things that happened to them. And it's been different ones of you that went, so truly appreciate you. Our community sees it, and I'm proud of you, and I'm proud to have you here. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Anyone else? Well, since we're live on video, I'll just address, I do work a full-time job. When I decided to run for this position, I was not working. I resigned from my teaching position, and I was going to just be a trustee, and I thought, I'll go ahead and run for supervisor because we wanted a full slate. Didn't really think we'd win. Traditionally, Republicans don't win in Egelston, and we flipped the board. So I deliberated over it for hours and hours and weeks and months and prayed, and I didn't really know what to do. But I couldn't wait until November. I have children. I'm a single mom. I couldn't wait and not work. So I took a teaching job, and I love it. I didn't get hired until it was whenever we lost power in the storms was when my interview was, because I had to go in the hot tub to clean myself up, to take a shower for my interview because no one had power. I put in a lot of hours. I am always available. If someone can't reach me, it's because they didn't try. Like I said, I spent many, many hours. I talked with former Chief Dan Brentano whenever he wanted to talk to me, meet with Alex really regularly. Anyone up here on this board can email me, call me, text me. When I have my students in my room, I am not available to talk on the phone, but I have 3 breaks a day that I've communicated. Everyone has my personal number and my work phone. I have a laptop that I bring with me. I am reachable. I'm reachable to the community. I am reachable to the staff. And I actually did look through all 89 resumes. I remember the comment, someone did confront me on it. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I did look through every single resume for firefighter and every single resume for the custodian. There ended up being over 93 resumes for the custodian. And there were, gosh, I don't remember how many for the fire department. There were so many. I read every single one. I didn't want all of the choice to be on me as personnel director. I don't know that I was, I didn't feel like I should just make the choice. And I didn't know through the policy, like our books are a mess. The policies and procedures are very confusing. If you've been around and listening, there's a lot of things that get brought up in a meeting, and I wanted to be transparent and have it be a panel decision so that I didn't get railroaded by someone or accused of anything. So I wanted more eyes on it, more hands involved. So I wanted a committee, and we ended up all agreeing that it would be Herb and Peggy. They volunteered. It was not pawned off on them. Someone said that Herb did it before, and so Herb was willing to do it again. As far as something needs to change, I mean, if you want things to change, get involved. That's why we're up here today. This is what goes through all the way up. I mean, people can have other jobs. I am an elected official. I'm not a salaried person. So I don't have required hours. I have statutory duties that I fulfill. If you have questions about things, you want to meet with me, I can meet with you after school until June. And then I will be stepping away from teaching most likely and be doing this full time. I don't believe that I owe you that explanation, but I want to be transparent. So I'm telling you that I will be here full time. I will complete my duties, and I already am completing my duties. Before I took office, before I took my oath, I contacted MTA and I spoke with the attorney that worked there. And I cleared all of this and made sure that it was possible. And I'm not the only one. If you call around to other townships, there are many, many employees that hold other jobs and supervisors. The only time you wouldn't be able to is if you are a charter township, like Muskegon. They are a charter township. They have different laws and rules, and they have different expectations. Their statutory duties are different. So thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate the community being involved and caring. It's important. Even if you don't agree with me, it's important that you come and you are involved and you speak up.
And I'll add to that what you guys don't see behind the scenes, you only see here when we're at a board meeting. I had 2 weeks off for Christmas, or a week and a half off, and she was here almost every single day. So I have never been able to not reach her. Maybe sometimes the text is takes a little bit because she's between classes, but I've never had a problem. I think she's done an amazing job. She's sacrificing her time with her family. You know, I work 2 jobs, full-time jobs. It is possible, plus I have a family. So, plus now I'm a trustee. Why, Lord me. So, it is possible. So I know what it takes to do this, to have 2 positions, or not 3, but 2. And you're a single mom, and that's amazing. And I don't know how you do all this, so I just wanna say thank you, and I think you're doing a great job.
Motion to adjourn?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Support.
I'll support.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You got your, see the motion, you supported it. She asked for a motion. We're good, we're good.